Welcome to the 12 Days of Zentangle and Project Pack No.22. This is day 12.
Wow.
My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria, and I'm here along as support, and marveling at all the beautiful things everybody's creating.
Well, I'll go with marveling, and I hope that you are marveling at whatever it is that you did, because this is part of the beauty of this whole Zentangle method, is discovering things that you can do that you didn't think you could. So I'm going to shade the ones that I did yesterday, and I'm starting with the brown chalk and going into the little areas in Hollis that are going under something. And it sort of just is like a call to, well, first of all, it's fun to find them all, and then just to put a little bit of chalk deep in that, where they go under. And
it gives them a nice 3D effect right away, right?
And then just come back and touch it with the tortillon. I like to say I'm inviting it into the paper and feathering it out just a little bit. And then again, there's that little fun part of finding them all, discovering the ones you missed, right?
Yeah.
And then going back and doing it again, just touching it with the tortillon. Doesn't have to be a lot.
Reminds me of the video that Indy and Mazzy did, and doesn't have to be too perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm going with the ochre pencil into various, like where the branching and the curves are. And I'm not really coloring the whole background. I'm just layering down a little bit or a bunch of chalk in a few places. So in the crooks or near the, those curves with the big orbs.
To give some texture to the pattern behind it.
Right? So where they branch and where they form those little curves at the end. I'll just put a little bit in all those places.
You can see it coming to life.
And when I use these pastel pencils, or chalk pencils, I find they work better for me with a real dull tip, because then they're somewhat fragile too. So if you have a really sharp tip, well, you won't have it for long.
Yeah. They're beautiful pencils. The textures are nice, they're buttery and wonderful.
And you'll see I'm now going back with my tortillon.
The tortillon that's dedicated to that color.
For now, yes.
For now, yeah.
And like the graphite tortillons, it will, it builds up a little bit on the tortillon, and so you can spread it around in areas for a little bit, like it'll offset in other areas. But if there's a whole bunch, just go back in, like I missed that whole section. And so you'll see there's like an unevenness to the background, and that was what I was going for.
It's starting to glow.
Right?
Can you see it? It's glowing.
And I think if I had done it completely covered, you wouldn't have that feeling. And you might do that and see what it looks like when you do it that way. So just going in, inviting those in, and there's my first one.
Beautiful,
right?
Beautiful.
So now, if you remember, we want to go in, and this is our way to emphasize that spiral. So I'm turning the paired tiles here, and with the point of my pen the point of my pen.
I'm saving your back. I'm watching your back here.
I'm doing it right next to that curve, and you'll see how this works. So, and then I stop at the poke leaf there. Now on the other side, I want to give some layer down some graphite there, and we're going to do all around the outside edge, turning my tile as I go, and I've got that sheet of paper, right? So that I can now just put the palm of my hand anywhere I want and not worrying about, messing up or getting
it all over your hands and all over the paper.
And then all over someplace else that I didn't even pay attention to. Yeah. And again with this, and this is why we have a short pencil, is so you can hold it easily at a low angle. So now I'm going to repeat that, and now just pulling out the graphite from that edge, pulling it towards the center, and remembering that the whole point of shading having an impact is that if there's areas that aren't shaded, right?
The combination of the graphite and the yellow and the brown is just wonderful.
Isn't that fun? So we're going to bring it out, and when we get to the poke leaf there, we'll just let that float on top.
So remember, when you now have this combination of colors, and it's a palette of colors, you can use it again on another tile, and because you liked the effect that these three colors, the brown, the yellow, and the green.
I love this palette.
I think Molly said it, like a southwestern feel to it.
Well, it's almost like, like a turquoise, some turquoise is that color. There's all different colors of turquoise, but there's some that's very close to that. And just going over all the sides, or both of the sides of this, what would you call that shape? Like a paisley shape almost, right? And then with the tortillon, and I like, we keep saying it, but, you point the tip of the tortillon to the edge that you want the most precise. Because you can see where it is. And I'm pushing pretty hard and sort of.
You want to be a little aggressive with it, if you want, especially on a piece this big.
And so now I'm going to drop some graphite in the, in the inner parts of where that pod and those poke leaves are. And then go back in with the tortillon and just sort of like supporting.
Or bringing them to the forefront.
Yeah.
The poke leaf.
And look at how much more those poke leaves just rise up above everything. So I'm going to leave the other two for, what Molly did and Martha did. Molly's going to do the shading on that, and we'll see how she shades that center part.
Was this an afterthought?
Yep. So I look at it, and it's like, I think I'm going to put that on there.
So the banding gets a little
just on
attention.
One side, yeah. And then again, just inviting that into the paper. And this is where that sheet of paper really comes in handy, because you can, turn it this way and that and not worry about getting all the graphite on your hand and everything.
The texture of the graphite and the yellow, the ochre color is just spectacular.
Right? It's almost metallic or blown glass. Okay, let's look at this one, and I'm going to use the brown pen, the pencil, and the graphite pencil. The brown pencil.
Yes. Keep me around, baby.
All right. And sort of similar to the other one, I'm going to go in and just add, you're not going to see it on this little one, but add brown on one edge of each one of those. And it'll make more sense when we get to the larger ones. Actually, I think I'm using the ochre on this. Yeah. So as I'm turning it, I'm just using the ochre chalk pencil to add a little bit of that chalk on one side. And I'm not thinking about light and dark. I'm more thinking about pattern. And also, in this case, just ease of holding it with my hand. Like, as a right-hander, it's easier for me to put it on the left side. Mm-hmm. So, there it is. So I think that being sort of off to one side is more interesting. Mm-hmm. And then with the tortillon, I'm pulling it across, and as you get into
breaking
the
it down, right?
Yeah,
you're pushing it into the paper.
Yeah. And then when you get to the larger ones, you can see by leaving part of it totally open, there's a nice little dynamic there. And again, you may come up with something totally different. Like I think if any of us did this again another way, it would be like, okay, well, this time I did that. So there's that.
Now with your pencil.
With my graphite pencil, I'm going to emphasize the one side of those bands. Just by putting down a little bit of graphite, doing that on each one. And then when that is all done, we'll go back with the tortillon and just, again, inviting that into the paper. And you'll see like how this brings a dimensionality, right? If you go back and look at the before and after, how three-dimensional this is becoming, where it was, right?
Yeah, it's a good idea to take pictures as you go along when you're doing any tiles so that you can see the difference side by side.
Right. Right, so those look like they're like right on top, but we don't have any sense of roundness to this shell or this spiral shape. So now, like on the one we did before, we'll go in and add the graphite, and it really now delineates where that curve is. And like we were saying earlier, you really have to look for the unused pencil string of the straight lines that are under this. They just get absorbed.
Right.
So when you're making your lines with your pencil, you know that you don't have to use every one of them. You can ignore some of them. you can go beyond them, and it's all going to work out. So just really putting down, loading the graphite down. And at this stage, it just, you don't have that sense of line, or I mean, you don't have the sense of gradation, because you're just putting the graphite right at the edge. But now you come in with the tortillon.
It's so magic. That silly little white thing is such a magic wand. It brings it to life, right?
And we're just pulling it back into the center. And again, adding a little bit around those poke leaves so they pop.
I want to thank whoever invented the tortillon.
Right.
I don't know who did it, but it was probably way back when, right? Because they've been using pastels and chalk for a long time.
Oh, you can get so precise, which you can't with your fingers.
Mm.
Nice. So you can see how simple this is and how impactful the graphite can be, how it interacts with the gel underneath. It's like the gel doesn't hold the graphite in the same way as the paper holds the graphite, right?
Wow.
So there's that one. So we've got both of them done. And we look forward to Molly shading and taking us out in the next video of today. So this is part 1, and we will see you whenever you press play for part 2.
Okay.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye now.
Look how beautiful. Ah, beautiful.